Welcome to the Den, the Dark Entertainment Network. I'm the Gothic Rose, and this is the dark tale of the day. Let me take this moment to reintroduce myself. I am the Gothic Rose, hostess of the Dark Entertainment Network. This is a channel where the news meets conspiracy theories and makes babies in my brain, and it comes out my mouth. I do this because I enjoy it. If you like this type of content, please follow along, because I'm not going to stop. Welcome back, dear fiends of the Den, as we continue our deep dive into haunted Hollywood and its roots, which surprisingly led me to Thomas Edison, who had an oligarch-type monopoly over Hollywood and the film industry in the early 1900s. So before Hollywood became Hollywood in California, most of the films were done right here on the East Coast, in the New Jersey area, which is very close to where I grew up. So if you'd like to know more about the origins, got to check out my episode From Silent Stars to 7-Year Scandals, Hollywood's Golden Age Unveiled, which I will link in the description, and then you can just work your way up. And don't forget to check out my Joy Harris week-long saga, because some of her Wikipedia information changed in the wake of that whole Blake Lively hiring Nick Shapiro thing. But let's get back to the Gilded Age and Thomas Edison. So Thomas Edison had this guild, the MPPC, where he and basically a bunch of other wealthy filmmakers had control over the filming equipment, had a partnership with Kodak for the film, and required membership to be able to create films, blocking out a lot of independent filmmakers with their patent laws from 1897, which were very strictly enforced on the East Coast, thus pushing independent filmmakers out to the West Coast, which is now modern day Hollywood, California. So as we know, Thomas Edison held several patents in several different categories and was famously homeschooled by his mother after a letter allegedly was sent home, to which Thomas Edison's mother read to him, "Your son is a genius. We can't teach him anything." So she decided to homeschool him. But the dark side of that story is that they said he had learning disabilities. So we don't know if that's true or not, because this man is still talked about in modern day. And he really did help birth the modern Hollywood scene. So as these independent filmmakers started to move west and literally discover California gold in terms of weather for filming, plus locations, beach, mountains, forest, skiing, you could be anywhere within minutes. And there was less rain, no storms, no snowstorms, no tornadoes, hurricanes coming through. California also, we know, has earthquakes, but those are not as frequent as rain on the East Coast. So now these independent filmmakers have a great place to make their films. And the patent laws in California are much less strict. But that doesn't mean that they wouldn't maybe get to the filmmakers eventually. So they did the American thing. They filed a lawsuit, but this was a good one. So independent filmmakers and the US government challenged the Motion Pictures Patent Company, also known as the Edison Trust, in court. They wanted more freedom, of course. So the legal battle culminated in 1915 when the US Supreme Court ruled against the MPPC, declaring it a violation of the Sherman Antitrust Act. And this decision effectively ended the MPCC's monopoly over the film industry. The lawsuit was a very significant victory for independent filmmakers who had long resisted all of these restrictive practices, basically put in place by Edison through the Motion Pictures Patent Company. It also marked a turning point in the film industry, and it paved the way for the rise of independent studios and the eventual migration of the industry from the East Coast to the West Coast, modern day Hollywood. So the early 1900s, in and of itself, was an innovative time in America, going from horse and buggy and gas lamps to gas powered vehicles and electric lamps. And with all of that innovation, as we've been talking about, Thomas Edison at the forefront of this, his contributions went beyond inventing groundbreaking technology like the kinetograph and kinetoscope, and his influence extended to the establishment of filming hubs such as the Black Maria Studio, and this was in West Orange, New Jersey. This was one of the world's first motion picture studios. And this is alongside other early production centers like Vitagraph Studios in Brooklyn and scenic locations on Long Island. These sites became pivotal in shaping the nascent American film industry, and this era laid the foundation for storytelling through motion pictures, and it left an indelible mark on the art and business of cinema. So, Black Maria Studios in West Orange. This was actually built by Thomas Edison himself and his team in 1893, and this was used to produce short films using the kinetoscope. And then Vitagraph Studios is a Brooklyn based studio, and this was a major player in early cinema. By 1907, it was one of the most prolific film production companies, producing hundreds of silent films and newsreels. And then we have Long Island, New York. Areas like Bay Shore became known as Hollywood East before the industry moved west. The South Shore's natural light and scenic landscapes made it an ideal location for silent films, and that's really true. And of course, today in Queens, we have Silver Cup Studios. So we have talked about the MPPC, the Motion Pictures Patent Company, also known as the Edison Trust, and this was established in 1908 and included many major American and European film producers and distributors. So some of its more notable members were, of course, Thomas Edison himself. His Edison Manufacturing Company was a founding member and played a central role in the MPPC. So everyone involved in Vitagraph Studios based in Brooklyn, those were all key members. The Biograph Company, another significant player. Biograph joined the MPPC after resolving patent disputes with Edison. Then we have S&A Studios, Selig Polyscope Company, Lubin Manufacturing Company, and Kalem Company. These were the other American studios that became part of the MPPC. And from France, we had Pathé Ferrer and Millet. And these were the members who reflected the international scope of the MPPC. And of course, as we know, this whole organization sought to control the film industry by holding the patents on cameras, projectors, and film stock, as well as by limiting competition. But its restrictive practices eventually led to its decline and the rise of independent filmmakers who moved out to Hollywood to escape the very strict patent laws on the East Coast between New Jersey, Brooklyn, and Long Island. So just to recap, here is more information on the kinetograph and kinetoscope and Edison's early inventions that really set literally in motion the motion pictures. I love puns. And really, the formation of the MPPC and the control was just another bunch of rich men acting like oligarchs just over 100 years ago during the Gilded Age. Sounds a little familiar in 2025, doesn't it? So, when these independent filmmakers decided to take on the MPPC and they were protected under the Sherman Act, the law was doing its job and breaking up a monopoly. And that's something that has always helped average citizens become extraordinary in their own lives is protection, protective laws. So let's continue this more tomorrow and find out what started to change and when as we make our way through the silent film era into the talkies, through black and white, into color, and now into CGI and AI. What makes Hollywood tick? I don't know, but what makes me tick is this Haunted Hollywood series. So if you enjoyed this content, please subscribe, give a like, leave a comment, send a clue, and thank you for joining me in the den.